Good everyone, life is full of challenges. Things don't always go as we hope. People may upset us. Circumstances may change suddenly. But one thing we can always control is our mind, how we respond to what happens. Today, I want to share 5 simple principles to train your mind to stay calm, no matter the situation. Focus on what you can control. Life is full of events, people, and circumstances that we cannot change. Traffic may frustrate us, weather may ruin our plans, others may act unfairly, and unexpected problems may arise at any moment. If we spend our energy trying to change these things, we will always feel powerless and anxious. True calm begins when we recognize the boundary between what is within our control and what is not. Our thoughts, our choices, our actions, these are within our control. Everything else, including the actions of others, the outcome of events, and the opinions of the world, is outside our control. By turning our attention to what we can influence, we use our energy wisely and maintain inner peace. When we focus on what we can control, we stop blaming others for our unhappiness. It is easy to point fingers when things go wrong, to feel anger or resentment, and to imagine that if only someone or something had been different, we would be fine. Yet this mindset keeps us trapped in frustration. Instead, when we ask ourselves, "Can I control this?" we begin to see clearly where our power lies. If the answer is yes, we take action. If the answer is no, we accept it without wasting energy on frustration. This simple question becomes a tool to remain calm in the face of chaos. Practicing this principle changes the way we face daily challenges. Imagine receiving criticism at work or school. Our first reaction may be to feel hurt or defensive, to wish the person had acted differently. But their words are outside our control. What is within our control is our response, whether we listen calmly, whether we learn from what is said, and whether we maintain our dignity. By focusing on our own actions, rather than the words of others, we remain steady and confident. This mindset also frees us from unnecessary worry about the future. So much anxiety comes from imagining events that may never happen. We worry about accidents, failures, or disappointments, trying to control outcomes that we cannot predict. By focusing only on the steps we can take in the present moment, we act responsibly without being consumed by fear. Preparing, planning, and doing our best are within our control. The results are not. Accepting this allows the mind to remain calm, even in uncertainty. Focusing on what we can control also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. Those who understand their circle of control are not destroyed by adversity, because they focus on their responses rather than on external circumstances. When a problem arises, they ask, "What can I do right now to improve this situation?" They make choices based on reason, not panic, and they maintain a sense of inner stability that others may envy. Developing this habit requires daily attention. It is easy to fall back into old patterns of frustration and blame. Each time we notice ourselves worrying about things we cannot control, we must gently redirect our thoughts to what we can influence. This repetition builds mental strength. Over time, responding with reason becomes instinctive, and the mind becomes calm in almost any situation. In addition, focusing on what we can control encourages personal responsibility. It reminds us that our happiness, peace, and integrity are our own work. Others cannot take them away unless we allow them to. By centering our efforts on our thoughts and actions, we take ownership of our lives. We stop waiting for circumstances to improve or for others to behave differently, and we discover a freedom that is not dependent on the outside world. This principle can be applied to every area of life: relationships, work, health, and personal growth. In relationships, we cannot control how others behave, but we can control how kindly, patiently, and respectfully we act. In work, we cannot always control outcomes, promotions, or recognition, but we can control our effort, focus, and attitude. In health, we cannot control every illness, but we can control our habits, choices, and discipline. By consistently applying this principle, we find a steady center within ourselves, a calm place that is untouched by external turmoil. Accept reality as it is. Life does not always follow our wishes. Things happen that we may not like, and events often unfold in ways we cannot predict or control. When we resist reality, we create suffering for ourselves. Our minds become tense, our emotions rise, and we lose clarity. The world is as it is, not as we imagine it should be. Accepting this simple truth allows us to respond with calm and wisdom, instead of frustration and anger. Acceptance is not about giving up or being passive. It is about seeing things clearly and working with reality rather than against it. Every day we encounter situations that test our patience. Someone may act unfairly, a plan may fail, or unexpected difficulties may arise. When we resist these moments, we feel powerless. We complain, we argue, we imagine how things should have been different. This resistance only adds suffering on top of the situation itself. The key is to notice reality without adding extra judgment. When we accept what is happening, we conserve our energy for action, rather than wasting it on anger or regret. Accepting reality also allows us to see events clearly. Our emotions often distort the truth, making problems seem larger or more threatening than they are. Fear, anger, and disappointment create clouds over our thinking, preventing us from finding solutions. By accepting things as they are, without exaggeration or denial, we gain clarity. We see the situation objectively, and from that clarity, wise choices become possible. Calmness emerges naturally when we stop fighting reality. This principle also teaches humility. Life is vast, and many things are beyond our control. Recognizing this helps us release the illusion that the world should revolve around our desires. When a plan fails, or a person acts differently than expected, it is not a personal insult or injustice, it is simply life unfolding. Accepting reality means seeing our place in the larger flow of events and responding with reason instead of resentment. This humility brings peace and allows us to navigate challenges without being overwhelmed. Acceptance does not mean passivity or weakness. It does not require that we ignore problems or stop striving for improvement. Instead, it means facing facts with courage and using them as a foundation for wise action. For example, if a project at work fails, acceptance allows us to analyze what happened honestly, learn from mistakes, and plan the next steps. It frees us from blaming ourselves or others, which often leads to inaction or repeated errors. Practicing acceptance daily strengthens the mind. Life constantly presents surprises, some pleasant and others difficult. Each time we accept what happens, we reinforce the habit of seeing reality clearly and responding wisely. Over time, this habit reduces stress and anxiety, because the mind no longer fights against the inevitable. Challenges are still present, but our response becomes steady and measured. Acceptance also deepens our understanding of the nature of life. Everything changes: our health, relationships, possessions, and circumstances. Fighting these changes is futile and exhausting. Accepting them allows us to move with life rather than against it. We learn to adapt, to find opportunities in difficulty, and to remain calm, even when events are beyond our control. When we accept reality, we become more resilient in the face of hardship. We stop wishing the world were different and instead focus on how to act wisely within it. We respond to obstacles with thoughtfulness, rather than with anger or panic. Each moment of acceptance strengthens our ability to remain calm, even in unexpected or challenging situations. This principle can be applied in all areas of life. In relationships, we accept the behavior and choice of others without trying to control them. In work, we accept setbacks and delays without frustration. In health and personal growth, we accept our limitations and circumstances, using them as a basis for thoughtful action. By consistently practicing acceptance, we develop a mind that is steady, clear, and capable of facing life's challenges without unnecessary suffering. Train your mind daily. Calmness and clarity do not come automatically. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger through consistent practice. Every day presents opportunities to exercise self-control, focus, and reason. By practicing mental discipline regularly, we prepare ourselves to face challenges with steadiness and wisdom. Without daily training, the mind drifts into habits of reactivity, distraction, and emotional turbulence. Just as we would not expect a body to stay strong without exercise, we cannot expect the mind to remain calm without intentional practice. Daily training begins with awareness. We must notice our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without immediately reacting. Often, we act on impulse, allowing anger, fear, or desire to dictate our behavior. These reactions are automatic and unexamined, and they disturb our peace. By observing ourselves, we create a space between stimulus and response. In that space, reason can guide our actions, and calmness can emerge naturally. Awareness is the foundation of daily mental training, because without it, no change is possible. Reflection is another key part of training the mind. At the end of each day, we can examine our actions, thoughts, and emotions. Did we respond wisely or react impulsively? Were we calm or disturbed by events outside our control? Honest reflection helps us identify patterns and areas for improvement. It allows us to correct mistakes without self-judgment, using each experience as a lesson. Through consistent reflection, the mind becomes sharper, more disciplined, and better prepared for future challenges. Daily training also involves deliberate practice of virtues like patience, discipline, and moderation. We can set small exercises for ourselves, such as pausing before speaking, controlling our desires, or responding gently when provoked. Each small act strengthens the mind and builds a habit of calmness. Over time, these habits accumulate, and the mind develops a natural tendency to remain steady, even in difficult situations. Training is not about perfection, but about consistent effort to improve. Reading and learning can support daily mental training. By exposing ourselves to ideas, wisdom, and perspectives that encourage reason and self-control, we feed the mind with clarity. This is not a passive activity. It requires active engagement. We must think deeply about what we read and consider how it applies to our own life. Knowledge alone is not enough. It must be practiced. Applying what we learn strengthens the mind and prepares it for real-world challenges. Another aspect of training the mind is setting intentional habits. Just as we follow routines for our body's health, routines for the mind strengthen our inner stability. Practices such as meditation, journaling, or mindful breathing help the mind focus, regulate emotions, and remain present. Even a few minutes each day can build resilience and reduce stress over time. Consistency is more important than duration, as repeated effort shapes the mind more effectively than occasional intense efforts. Training the mind also means preparing for difficulties before they happen. Anticipating challenges allows us to practice how we might respond calmly and wisely. We imagine possible problems, consider our reactions, and plan actions that reflect reason rather than emotion. This mental rehearsal strengthens our ability to remain composed when actual challenges arise. The mind becomes like a well-trained athlete, ready to perform under pressure without losing focus. Finally, training the mind daily develops inner freedom. When the mind is disciplined, we are no longer slaves to fleeting emotions or external circumstances. We choose our responses, maintain clarity, and act with purpose. Each day of training reinforces this freedom, gradually creating a life in which calmness and reason guide us through every situation. The mind, like any skill, grows stronger only through consistent, deliberate practice, and by cultivating this strength, we prepare ourselves to meet life with serenity and wisdom. Separate facts from judgments. Much of the suffering we experience comes not from events themselves, but from the way we interpret them. We often add stories, assumptions, and labels to what happens, and it is these judgments that disturb our minds. A comment from a friend may feel like an insult, a mistake at work may feel like a disaster, and a delay in plans may feel like a personal attack. Yet these feelings arise not from the events themselves, but from the interpretations we attach to them. By learning to see events as they truly are, without extra judgment, we create mental clarity and emotional calm. Facts are simply what happens. A glass falls and breaks. A person raises their voice. A task is delayed. These are neutral events. Judgments are the meaning we assign to them. We may think, "This is terrible. They are against me." Or, "I will fail because of this." These judgments are not facts, they are opinions created by our mind. When we confuse judgment with reality, we react emotionally and lose clarity. By distinguishing between what is true and what is our interpretation, we take control of our mind. This separation allows us to respond wisely. When we see a situation clearly, we can choose our actions based on reason rather than emotion. If a colleague criticizes our work, the fact is that they have given feedback. The judgment, that they are attacking us, or that we are incompetent, is an addition we can choose to reject. By focusing on the fact itself, we can respond calmly, consider whether there is truth in the feedback, and decide on a thoughtful course of action. This clarity prevents unnecessary anger, defensiveness, or anxiety. Separating facts from judgments also reduces miscommunication and conflict. So often, arguments arise not from reality, but from differing interpretations. One person's statement may be seen as rude, while the speaker intended nothing negative. Recognizing the difference between facts and judgments allows us to ask questions, seek clarification, and respond with understanding. It prevents our assumptions from controlling our behavior and protects our inner peace from being disturbed by misunderstandings. Training the mind to separate facts from judgments requires careful observation. We must notice when we are adding meaning to events that is not objectively present. This can be practiced in small ways throughout the day. When someone cuts in line or speaks sharply, we pause and ask ourselves, what is the fact? What am I assuming? By making this distinction repeatedly, we develop the habit of responding based on reality rather than emotion. Over time, this habit strengthens mental clarity and resilience. This principle also applies to our own thoughts. Often, we judge ourselves harshly, creating unnecessary guilt, shame, or worry. A mistake becomes a catastrophe. A failure becomes proof of worthlessness. By separating the fact of the action from the judgment we impose, we can act responsibly and learn without harming our mind. The fact may be a mistake. The judgment is an interpretation we can choose to release. This awareness fosters self-compassion and inner stability. In addition, separating facts from judgments improves decision-making. When we act based on judgments or assumptions rather than reality, we are likely to make errors. By focusing on the facts and seeing them clearly, we make better choices and take appropriate action. This principle encourages rational thinking, measured responses, and careful planning, all of which support a calm and steady mind. Daily practice strengthens this skill. Each time we notice a judgment and question it, we exercise our mental clarity. Each time we respond to facts without exaggeration or assumption, we reinforce calmness. Over time, the mind naturally begins to separate events from our interpretations, reducing emotional turbulence and allowing us to face life's challenges with reason and composure. This approach can be applied in every part of life. In relationships, work, and personal challenges, separating facts from judgments allows us to respond thoughtfully, avoid unnecessary conflict, and remain balanced. The mind becomes clear, resilient, and calm, able to navigate uncertainty and difficulty without being controlled by emotion or distorted perceptions. Remember that everything is temporary. Life is in constant motion, and nothing lasts forever. Happiness, success, comfort, pain, loss, and difficulty, all of it changes with time. Often, we become attached to moments, people, or outcomes, and when they pass or shift, we feel anger, sadness, or disappointment. By keeping the temporary nature of life in mind, we develop perspective and calm. We realize that challenges are not permanent, and even positive moments will pass, which encourages appreciation without attachment. Understanding impermanence helps the mind remain steady, because we are less likely to overreact to the fluctuations of life. The knowledge that everything is temporary reduces fear and anxiety. When a problem arises, we tend to feel overwhelmed, imagining it will last forever. But if we remember that every situation, no matter how difficult, will eventually change, we gain courage and patience. Painful moments are like clouds passing in the sky. They may cover the sun for a time, but they do not last. This awareness allows us to endure hardships without losing composure, because we know that time brings change and relief. This principle also encourages gratitude. When we appreciate the good moments and the people around us, we recognize that they are not permanent and may not always be present. Gratitude becomes more sincere when we see life as fleeting, and it enriches our experiences without creating attachment or fear of loss. Enjoying the present moment without clinging to it allows us to fully experience life while remaining calm and balanced. Impermanence also teaches humility. We may achieve success, wealth, or recognition, but these things can change or disappear at any moment. Understanding that nothing is permanent reminds us not to become overly proud or attached to status, possessions, or reputation. It encourages us to focus on what truly matters, our character, our actions, and our response to life, because these are within our control and not subject to the changing tides of circumstance. Remembering the temporary nature of everything can prevent resentment and anger. When someone behaves poorly or circumstances seem unfair, we may feel upset. But realizing that these situations are not permanent makes it easier to respond with patience and understanding. Difficulties will pass, people will change, and situations will shift. Holding on to anger or frustration is a waste of energy when everything is temporary. By keeping this in mind, the mind remains calm and resilient, even in the face of challenges. This principle also applies to our personal growth. We may struggle with habits, mistakes, or weaknesses, but these too are temporary. Change is always possible through effort and reflection. By recognizing that difficulties and imperfections are not fixed, we remain hopeful and patient with ourselves, avoiding despair or harsh judgment. This perspective encourages steady progress rather than impulsive reactions. Allowing growth to happen naturally over time, the awareness of impermanence strengthens our ability to let go. When we understand that possessions, relationships, status, and even life itself are temporary, we are less likely to cling desperately or become distressed when things change. We learn to appreciate what we have while remaining unattached, which fosters calm and freedom. This mindset allows us to navigate loss, change, and uncertainty with grace, because we accept that life is always in motion. Daily reflection on the temporary nature of life deepens this understanding. Noticing the passing of seasons, the aging of ourselves and others, and the constant flow of events reinforces the idea that change is inevitable. By internalizing this principle, the mind becomes less reactive, less fearful, and more composed. We are able to face challenges, enjoy successes, and experience life fully without being controlled by the impermanent nature of things, because awareness of impermanence guides us toward acceptance, patience, and calm. Pause before reacting. Life often moves quickly, and situations arise that demand a response. Our instinct is to react immediately, driven by emotion or habit, but this is rarely wise. Impulsive reactions can lead to regret, conflict, and unnecessary suffering. By pausing before responding, even for a few moments, we create space to observe, reflect, and act with reason. This pause is a simple but powerful tool for maintaining calm, because it interrupts the automatic chain of reaction that often disturbs the mind. When we pause, we separate ourselves from the initial emotional surge. Anger, fear, or frustration may arise in response to a situation, and if we act immediately, these emotions guide our behavior. A heated word, a rash decision, or a defensive action can escalate problems and create more stress. By pausing, we give the mind a chance to cool down, to see the situation clearly, and to choose a response that aligns with reason and values, rather than temporary feelings. This practice turns reactive behavior into thoughtful action. The pause also allows us to assess what is within our control. Often, our first reaction is to try to change what cannot be changed or to control others' behavior. Taking a moment to pause reminds us to focus on our own actions, which are within our control, and to release the need to manipulate external circumstances. This awareness prevents wasted energy and frustration. By acting from this perspective, we respond effectively and maintain inner stability, rather than being swept away by emotions we cannot govern. Pausing before reacting helps in communication. In conversations or conflicts, our first response is often defensive, sharp, or judgmental. These reactions can damage relationships and escalate tension. By taking a moment to breathe, reflect, and consider our words, we respond more calmly and clearly. We can listen more attentively, understand the other person's perspective, and choose language that reflects thoughtfulness instead of anger. This practice fosters harmony, reduces conflict, and strengthens the mind's ability to remain calm in challenging interactions. This principle also strengthens self-discipline. Each pause is a small exercise of self-control. By deliberately choosing not to react immediately, we practice mastery over our impulses. Over time, this builds mental resilience, making it easier to remain composed even in situations that provoke strong emotions. The mind learns that it can respond intentionally rather than being driven by automatic reactions, and this freedom creates a deeper sense of calm and confidence. Pausing before reacting encourages reflection. In that brief moment, we can ask ourselves questions. Is this important? Does it deserve my energy? What is the wisest response? These questions shift the focus from the heat of the moment to thoughtful consideration. They allow us to act with purpose, rather than reacting to surface appearances. Reflection prevents regret, guides better decisions, and strengthens our ability to navigate life's challenges with clarity. Even small pauses can have a profound effect. A few seconds of deep breathing, a short count to 10, or a mindful pause before speaking or acting can change the entire course of a situation. Over time, these small acts of discipline accumulate, creating a mind that naturally responds with calmness and wisdom. The habit of pausing becomes instinctive, so that even in stressful or surprising situations, the mind remains steady. The practice of pausing before reacting also enhances emotional intelligence. We begin to recognize the patterns of our emotions, to understand what triggers us, and to choose responses that align with our values and goals. Awareness of our own reactions allows us to act thoughtfully, to communicate clearly, and to maintain balance even under pressure. By cultivating this habit, we develop the ability to face life with patience, composure, and reason. Daily practice reinforces the power of the pause. Each situation that challenges us is an opportunity to pause, observe, and respond wisely. Over time, this habit transforms the mind, making calmness and clarity the default state, rather than a rare exception. The more we practice, the more resilient, thoughtful, and composed we become, able to meet life's difficulties without being overwhelmed by automatic reactions or fleeting emotions. Practice gratitude and reflection. The mind is easily pulled into negativity if we only focus on what is lacking, what has gone wrong, or what challenges us. Daily practice of gratitude shifts attention to what is present, what is good, and what supports our well-being. Gratitude does not mean ignoring difficulties or pretending life is perfect. It means recognizing what we have and valuing it, even amidst challenges. This simple habit has the power to calm the mind, because it directs focus away from frustration and toward appreciation, helping us see life more clearly and with balance. Reflection complements gratitude by giving the mind space to review experiences and learn from them. Each day offers moments to consider what went well, what could have been done differently, and what lessons arise from difficulties. Reflection allows us to grow without being controlled by regret, anger, or fear. When we examine our actions and thoughts honestly, we develop insight into our own patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. This awareness builds wisdom, and wisdom supports calmness because the mind understands itself and its reactions more clearly. Gratitude trains the mind to notice the positive, even in small ways. It can be as simple as appreciating the warmth of the sun, the kindness of a friend, or the food on our table. These small recognitions anchor the mind in the present moment and reduce the tendency to dwell on negativity or worry. Over time, this habit rewires attention toward abundance rather than scarcity, and the mind becomes more resilient in facing difficulties. When challenges arise, we are better able to see opportunities, support, and resources that help us navigate them calmly. Reflection also strengthens decision-making. By reviewing our actions and their consequences, we understand what leads to peace of mind and what leads to disturbance. This understanding allows us to make wiser choices in the future. Reflection can also include imagining potential difficulties and planning how we might respond with reason and composure. This practice trains the mind to stay calm under pressure because it has rehearsed measured, thoughtful responses in advance. Gratitude and reflection together cultivate perspective. Life is a mix of positive and negative experiences, success and failure, gain and loss. Without perspective, we are overwhelmed by whatever dominates the moment. Gratitude helps us notice the good alongside the challenges, and reflection helps us understand the lessons and patterns in both. With this broader view, the mind can remain calm and balanced, understanding that no single moment defines life, and that every experience is part of a larger flow. Daily routines of gratitude and reflection reinforce these habits. Some people keep a journal, noting 3 things they are grateful for each day and reviewing what they learned from their experiences. Others practice quiet reflection or meditation, asking themselves what went well, what disturbed them, and how they might act better in the future. The specific method is less important than the consistency. Each day of practice strengthens the mind's ability to stay calm, notice what truly matters, and respond with thoughtfulness rather than emotion. These practices also cultivate humility. Gratitude reminds us that much of what we enjoy comes from circumstances, effort, or kindness beyond ourselves. Reflections us our limitations and areas for improvement. Recognizing these truths reduces arrogance, impatience, and frustration, which are common sources of mental disturbance. Humility helps the mind remain open, flexible, and steady, even when life presents unexpected challenges. Gratitude and reflection also foster emotional balance. By regularly acknowledging positive aspects of life and thoughtfully examining experiences, we prevent emotions from overwhelming reason. The mind learns to appreciate, understand, and navigate life without being controlled by fleeting feelings. Over time, this practice strengthens resilience, awareness, and calmness, creating a mind capable of facing challenges with patience, wisdom, and clarity. Respond with reason, not emotion. Life constantly presents situations that trigger strong feelings: anger, fear, frustration, excitement, or sadness. If we allow these emotions to dictate our actions, we often act impulsively, say things we regret, or make choices that worsen the situation. Emotions are natural, but they are not always reliable guides. By responding with reason instead of being carried away by emotion, we maintain clarity, make better decisions, and protect our inner calm. Reason allows the mind to act in alignment with values, purpose, and long-term well-being, rather than being swept away by immediate impulses. Responding with reason begins with awareness. We must notice when emotions arise and acknowledge them without judgment. Feeling anger, disappointment, or fear is natural. The problem is acting as if these emotions are facts or commands. Awareness creates a space between stimulus and response. In that space, reason can guide action. A person may insult us, a plan may fail, or a difficult situation may arise. If we pause and apply reason, we can consider the facts, evaluate options, and choose a response that serves our goals and preserves our calm. This approach prevents unnecessary conflict. Reacting emotionally often escalates disagreements and creates tension. When a colleague criticizes us, our instinct may be to defend ourselves angrily or respond harshly. Responding with reason allows us to listen carefully, consider whether the criticism has merit, and answer in a measured and constructive way. This not only maintains calm but often leads to better outcomes, because rational responses are more effective than emotional outbursts. Responding with reason also strengthens decision-making. Emotions can cloud judgment and exaggerate risks or problems. Fear may make a situation seem worse than it is, anger may lead to rash decisions, and desire may cause us to overlook consequences. By stepping back and evaluating circumstances with reason, we see more clearly what is real, what we can control, and what actions are most beneficial. Rational responses are deliberate, intentional, and more likely to produce lasting results, while emotional reactions are often short-sighted and counterproductive. This principle develops self-discipline. Each time we choose reason over emotion, we exercise control over the mind. This repeated practice builds mental strength, making it easier to remain composed in future challenges. Over time, responding with reason becomes habitual, and the mind naturally approaches situations with calmness, clarity, and thoughtfulness rather than being led by reactive impulses. The mind gains freedom because it is no longer dominated by transient feelings. Responding with reason also cultivates patience and empathy. When we pause to think rationally before acting, we are more likely to understand other perspectives and recognize the complexity of situations. This understanding reduces anger, blame, and resentment, and promotes compassionate responses. Patience grows because we are no longer rushing to act impulsively, and empathy grows because reason allows us to consider others' intentions and circumstances without distortion by emotion. Daily practice reinforces this ability. In small daily challenges, we can practice responding with reason instead of reacting emotionally. Traffic delays, disagreements, minor frustrations, or criticism become opportunities to exercise calm and rational thought. Each successful choice strengthens the mind and builds resilience. Over time, the habit of reasoned response expands to larger, more significant challenges, ensuring that the mind remains steady even in difficult or high-pressure situations. Responding with reason also protects relationships and reputation. Emotional reactions often damage trust, create misunderstanding, and harm connections. Thoughtful responses, guided by reason, maintain integrity, build respect, and foster harmony. People notice calmness and rationality, and these qualities encourage cooperation and positive interaction. Applying reason over emotion helps in all aspects of life, work, family, friendships, and personal challenges. It allows us to navigate conflict, manage stress, and make choices that align with values and long-term well-being. The mind learns to evaluate situations carefully, respond wisely, and act intentionally. By cultivating this skill, we develop a steady, composed, and resilient mind, capable of facing life's uncertainties with wisdom, balance, and calm.